You know, when we think about oil and gas, our minds usually go to fuel, geology, or maybe industry. But today, we're going to look at it from a completely different angle. We're going on an epic journey of energy, one that doesn't start with a drill bit, but with a single ray of sunshine, hundreds of millions of years ago.
That almost sounds like poetry, doesn't it? But here's the amazing part. It's scientifically true. This one idea completely changes how you think about the fuel that powers our world. This stuff isn't just something we burn. It's a story of deep time and ancient stored energy.
So, where does this incredible journey even begin? Well, it's not miles underground. It starts right on the sunlit surface of the ancient Earth. The very first step is taken by life itself, acting like a kind of planet-sized solar battery, just patiently charging up over eons.
It all kicks off with that bit of magic we learned about in school, photosynthesis. Billions of ancient plants and tiny plankton were doing what they still do today. They took in carbon dioxide, soaked up water, and used raw sunlight to build their bodies. And this created organic matter that was just packed with carbon and hydrogen atoms, the exact building blocks for the energy we're talking about. Now, most of this life just died, decayed, and went back into the cycle. But, and this is the important part, some of it didn't. Some of it got preserved.
And where did this lucky stuff get preserved? Well, in places without much oxygen. Picture the murky bottoms of ancient swamps, deep lakes, and vast ocean floors. In these low-oxygen spots, what scientists call anoxic conditions, the whole process of decay just grinds to a halt. The little bacteria that usually break everything down can't survive. So this energy-packed organic gunk gets saved, layer by layer, becoming the key ingredient for our story.
But getting preserved is really just the beginning of the story. For this ancient gunk to turn into fuel, it has to say goodbye to the surface world and start a long, slow journey deep into the Earth's crust.
Over millions of years, you get mud, sand, silt, and rock piling on top. The weight becomes, well, unimaginable, building up incredible pressure. And as it all sinks deeper and deeper into the Earth, the temperature just keeps climbing. We're talking miles below the surface now, and the real transformation is about to get started.
This brings us to the next phase, which you can think of as a huge geological kitchen. Our main ingredient, all that buried organic matter, is now in the oven. The pressure cooker is on, and the heat is cranked way up.
But it doesn't just turn straight into oil. Oh no, chemistry is a little more interesting than that. The heat and pressure first bake this ancient life into a completely new, intermediate substance. It's a crucial step in the whole recipe. It's called kerogen. It's this waxy, solid material. It's not really a plant anymore, but it's not quite oil yet either. The best way to think of it is as half-cooked hydrocarbons. It's like the dough, before it becomes the final loaf of bread.
Now, as this kerogen gets buried even deeper, the heat gets even more intense. It gets so hot that the big complex molecules inside the kerogen just can't hold together anymore. They start to break or crack apart into smaller, lighter molecules.
And what's so fascinating here is that the final product all comes down to one simple thing: temperature. At moderate temperatures, in what geologists call the oil window, the kerogen cracks into these long, complex liquid molecules we call crude oil. But if the heat gets even higher, those oil molecules break down even further, becoming the simplest, lightest molecules of all, natural gas.
Okay, so we've gone from sunlight to plants to kerogen and now to oil and gas. But we keep using this word hydrocarbons. What exactly are they?
At their core, they are brilliantly simple. They're molecules made of just two things: hydrogen atoms and carbon atoms. That's it. From the super simple methane, 1 carbon, 4 hydrogens, all the way to the incredibly long, complex chains you find in crude oil. The most important thing to remember is that the chemical bonds holding all these atoms together are storing that original solar energy, just waiting to be released. So we've cooked up some oil and gas deep inside the Earth. But believe it or not, the story still isn't over. This newly created energy doesn't just hang out where it was made. It was born under pressure, and its first instinct is to escape. The Great Migration begins.
It's really just simple physics. Like a cork in water, oil and gas are way less dense than the rock and water around them. So they start to float, squeezing their way up through any tiny crack or pore in the rock they can find, always trying to get to the surface. And think about this. For millions of years, most of it does escape. It just seeps out and is lost forever. For it to be useful to us, something has to stop it.
And this brings us to the final and maybe the most critical chapter in our story: the trap.
This is the very specific geological setup that can actually stop that great migration and gather all those scattered hydrocarbons into a big, concentrated reservoir of energy.
So how in the world do you catch something that's been on the move for millions of years? You need two things. First, you need a porous reservoir rock, something like a sandstone that can act like a giant sponge to hold the oil and gas. And second, this is key, you need a seal rock sitting on top of it. This is a layer of rock like shale that the hydrocarbons just can't get through. This combo, the sponge and the lid, is what creates the trap.
And this really shows you just how incredibly unlikely it is to find a big oil or gas field. It's not enough to just have a trap somewhere. The timing, the location, the ingredients, every single thing has to line up perfectly across millions of years of geologic time. It's like a geological lottery, and almost every single ticket is a loser.
So it all boils down to this perfect four-part recipe. You need the right source rock to start with. You need the proper cooking process, not too hot, not too cold. You need a path for it to migrate into that spongy rock, and you need a perfectly placed trap to catch it. If any one of those steps fails, if the trap forms too late, if the heat is wrong, if there's no reservoir rock, well, then the whole thing is a bust. That ancient solar energy is just lost forever.
Which brings us right back to the beginning. When you look at this entire improbable chain of events, you come back to this one profound idea. What we're really looking at is the way our planet has found to capture and store energy from its star.
It really is a battery, one that was charged up by the sun back in the age of dinosaurs and even before, then slowly buried and concentrated and held in deep storage, just waiting. The energy in your car's gas tank didn't start in a refinery. It started as a ray of sunlight hitting a leaf in some ancient swamp.
So, the next time you see a drop of oil or think about natural gas, just remember its origin story. It's not just a commodity. It's a relic of ancient biology and a testament to the immense power of geology over deep time. It is, quite literally, fossilized sunlight.